In the year 2147, humanity stood on the brink of extinction. Earth, our once vibrant home, had been ravaged by endless wars, climate catastrophes, and resource depletion. Cities lay in ruins, skies choked with perpetual smog, and oceans turned toxic wastelands. Billions had perished, leaving scattered survivors clinging to fragile enclaves. But amid the despair, a beacon of hope emerged from the stars. Scientists at the Global Space Initiative had detected a habitable exoplanet, dubbed Nova Terra, orbiting a distant sun in the Andromeda constellation. It promised lush forests, breathable air, and untapped resources, a second chance for our species. Dr. Elena Vargas, a brilliant astrophysicist widowed by the Great Collapse, led the expedition. Her team comprised engineers, biologists, and colonists selected from the remnants of society. They boarded the Ark Voyager, a colossal starship engineered with cryogenic pods and fusion drives. As the engines roared to life, Elena gazed at the fading blue marble through the viewport. "This is not goodbye," she whispered. "It's the beginning of a new world." The journey spanned decades, with the crew in suspended animation. Elena dreamed of verdant landscapes and thriving communities, free from the scars of old Earth. Upon awakening, the ship pierced Nova Terra's atmosphere, revealing a panorama of emerald continents dotted with sapphire lakes. Initial scans confirmed paradise, gravity similar to Earth's, diverse ecosystems teeming with alien flora and fauna, and no signs of intelligent life. The landing site, a fertile valley ringed by majestic mountains, became their ground zero. As pods opened, colonists emerged, awestruck by the alien sun's warm glow. Children, born en route via artificial wombs, took their first steps on foreign soil. Elena addressed the group. "We've escaped the ashes of our past. Here, we build anew with wisdom, not greed." They erected modular habitats, planted hydroponic gardens with seeds from Earth's gene banks, and harnessed geothermal energy. But challenges loomed. Strange bioluminescent creatures roamed the nights, and seismic tremors hinted at unstable geology. One evening, as the dual moons rose, Elena discovered ancient ruins half buried in the valley. Carvings depicted beings not unlike humans, suggesting a lost civilization. Who were they, she pondered, and what doomed them? This mystery ignited curiosity and caution. The team formed exploration parties, mapping the terrain while fortifying their settlement. Bonds formed among strangers. Marcus, a rugged engineer, shared stories of old Earth with young Arya, teaching her survival skills. Months passed, and the colony flourished. Crops yielded bountiful harvests, and the air filled with laughter, a sound long forgotten. Yet, whispers of division arose. Some yearned for technological dominance, echoing Earth's mistakes, while others advocated harmony with the planet. Elena mediated, reminding them, "We are stewards." The colony, named New Horizon, grew rapidly. In its first year on Nova Terra, simple dome habitats expanded into a small village of interconnected modules, solar arrays gleaming under the twin suns. Elena Vargas spent her days coordinating resource allocation and nights studying the mysterious ruins. The carvings told fragments of a story, tall, slender figures building towering spires, then fleeing from dark, swirling shapes in the sky. Linguists deciphered partial symbols suggesting a cataclysm, perhaps a plague, or something cosmic. Elena felt an uneasy kinship. "We came here to escape destruction," she told Marcus one evening by the fire pit. "What if we brought it with us?" Marcus, ever practical, shrugged. "We adapt. That's what humans do." He led construction crews, reinforcing foundations against the frequent tremors. The ground shook lightly almost every week, but scanners showed no immediate volcanic threat. Meanwhile, biologists cataloged the local life. Glowing insects called lumara swarmed at dusk, their light used for nighttime work. Strange, tree-like plants released spores that induced vivid dreams. Harmless, but unsettling. Children collected the spores, giggling as they fell asleep, seeing visions of flying cities. Tension surfaced during the first harvest festival. Dr. Harlan Crow, a geneticist with a sharp tongue and sharper ambition, argued for accelerating growth. Why crawl when we can sprint? We have CRISPR archives. We can engineer crops resistant to anything this planet throws at us, even modify ourselves for better adaptation. Elena opposed hasty changes. We barely understand this ecosystem. One mistake could collapse everything. The debate divided the colonists. Some sided with Harlan, tired of limits. Others trusted Elena's caution. Then came the first tragedy. A scouting team led by young Arya ventured too far into the western forest. They encountered a pack of large, feline predators with iridescent fur creatures the team named Shadowpaws. One colonist, caught off guard, was fatally mauled. The survivors returned shaken, carrying the body wrapped in emergency foil. That night, the colony held a solemn ceremony under the dual moons. Elena spoke softly. We honor his sacrifice by learning, not by revenge. This world is not ours to conquer, it's ours to earn. Grief hardened resolve. Patrols increased, and Marcus designed electrified perimeters. Yet Elena's discoveries deepened the mystery. Deep scans revealed a vast underground network. Beneath the ruins, tunnels, sealed for millennia, a small drone sent inside transmitted grainy images of crystalline chambers and faded murals showing stars collapsing. They weren't destroyed by nature, Elena realized. Something came from outside. As seasons shifted and the colony's population neared 300, a new signal appeared on long-range receivers, faint, rhythmic, artificial. Not from their ship, not from Earth, something else was watching. The mysterious signal grew stronger over the following weeks, pulsing in regular intervals like a heartbeat across the void. Elena's team triangulated its origin to a distant ridge beyond the western forest, roughly 200 kilometers from New Horizon. Debate raged in the council chamber. Harlan Crow pushed for immediate contact. This could be another colony ship, survivors from Earth, or even intelligent life. We can't ignore it, Elena remained cautious. Or it could be a trap. The ruins suggest something catastrophic happened here before. We proceed with eyes open. A reconnaissance team was assembled, Marcus leading, with Arya, 2 engineers, and a biologist equipped with portable scanners. They set out at dawn, traversing rolling plains where herds of 6-legged herbivores grazed under the pale violet sky. The journey took 3 days, marked by sudden rainstorms that turned soil to slick mud. On the 3rd evening, they crested the ridge and saw it, a massive metallic obelisk, half buried in rock, humming faintly. Its surface bore the same carvings as the valley ruins, but fresher, less weathered. As they approached, the signal intensified, vibrating through their bones. Marcus activated the translator drone. Static crackled, then a voice, calm, synthetic, ancient, spoke in halting English fragments. Welcome, seekers. Warning, the Devourer returns. The message looped, incomplete. Elena, monitoring remotely, felt ice in her veins. The Devourer, whatever wiped out the previous civilization. Night fell, and the team camped at a safe distance. Lumara insects swarmed, their glow illuminating the obelisk like a beacon. Arya, sketching the structure, noticed faint energy readings spiking periodically. It's powering up, she whispered. Suddenly, the ground trembled, not the usual quake, but something rhythmic, deliberate. From the obelisk's base, a seam opened, revealing a descending ramp into darkness. Marcus ordered retreat, but curiosity pulled harder. One engineer stepped forward, scanner in hand. A beam of light shot out, enveloping him. He froze, eyes wide, then collapsed. The team dragged him back as the ramp sealed. Scans showed no injury, only neural overload. He muttered incoherently about shadows eating stars. Back at New Horizon, the unconscious engineer awoke screaming about visions, a colossal, amorphous entity drifting through space, consuming worlds. Elena pieced it together with the ruins' murals. The ancient inhabitants had fled or hidden, but the Devourer, perhaps a rogue AI, cosmic predator, or something beyond comprehension, had returned cyclically. Panic threatened to fracture the colony. Harlan demanded, weaponizing their tech. Others wanted evacuation plans. Though no ship could outrun interstellar distances quickly, Elena called an assembly under the twin moons. We don't run, we understand, we prepare. This planet chose us as much as we chose it. She proposed a bold plan. Delve deeper into the new star in the night sky grew brighter each passing night. No longer a distant twinkle, but a slow, menacing glow. Telescopes at New Horizon confirmed it. A massive, irregular shape, larger than any asteroid, approaching from the outer system. Spectral analysis showed unnatural emissions, not natural rock. Not a comet, but something engineered or alive. The Devourer had arrived, just as the ancient warning foretold. Elena stood on the observation deck, heart pounding. We have months, perhaps less, time to decide our fate. The colony mobilized in frantic unity. Harlan's faction, once divisive, now worked alongside Elena's cautious group. Engineers retrofitted solar arrays into defensive arrays, repurposing mining lasers as weapons. Biologists analyzed Lumara insects, discovering their bioluminescence could disrupt certain energy fields, a potential shield against whatever approached. Children helped pack seed vaults and medical supplies into reinforced bunkers dug deep into the mountainside. Elena led expeditions into the underground network, now partially mapped. The crystalline chambers held more than murals. They contained dormant technology, spherical nodes pulsing with faint energy. Activating one released a holographic interface, displaying star maps and battle records of the ancient civilization. Their final stand had failed against the Devourer, a sentient, planet-consuming entity that fed on biospheric energy, leaving husks behind. The ancients had built a harmony core device to harmonize planetary life forces, creating a protective resonance field, but it required a living network of minds to power it. Back at base, the signal from the obelisk repeated its warning. Now clear, link the core. Become one voice, or perish in silence. Elena understood. The core needed collective consciousness, not machines. But people linked through neural interfaces the ancients left behind. Volunteers stepped forward, including Arya, whose young mind showed unusual empathy with the planet's ecosystem. Marcus refused at first. I'm no mystic, I build things. But seeing families prepare for the end, he relented. Training began in the crystal chambers. Participants wore lightweight headsets that synced brainwaves, creating a shared mental space. At first, chaotic flashes of fear, memories of old Earth, but gradually, patterns emerged. They felt Nova Terra itself, the slow pulse of roots, the whisper of wind through leaves, the quiet strength of mountains. The planet was alive, aware, waiting. Meanwhile, the Devourer drew nearer, its shadow beginning to dim the twin suns during the day. Crops withered under the unnatural darkness. Animals grew restless. One night, as tremors intensified, the Harmony core activated partially, a soft golden light enveloping the valley. For the first time, the colony felt hope born of connection, not technology alone. Elena addressed the linked group. We are not just survivors, we are the new guardians. The Devourer filled half the sky. Now, a roiling mass of inky blackness threaded with crimson veins, blotting out stars and casting the valley in perpetual twilight. Its presence warped reality. Air grew thick, colors muted, and every breath carried the metallic taste of ozone. New Horizon's golden resonance field flickered like a candle in a storm, sustained only by the growing link of minds within the Harmony core. Elena felt the strain in her temples, a constant hum that blended her thoughts with hundreds of others. Fear, determination, love, regret, all weaving into a single, defiant song. In the crystal chambers, the linked volunteers sat in concentric circles, headsets glowing softly. Arya, at the center, became the focal point. Her young mind, unburdened by decades of Earth's scars, resonated clearest with Nova Terra's living pulse. Through the shared consciousness, they saw the planet respond. Roots stretched toward the surface. Lumara swarms formed protective spirals overhead, and deep geothermal vents released bursts of energy to feed the field. The world itself was joining the fight. Marcus patrolled the perimeter, rifle slung across his back. Though he knew bullets meant nothing against this foe, he watched families huddle in bunkers, parents whispering stories to children who had never known Earth's blue sky. "We're not dying today," he told a trembling engineer. "We're choosing how we live." Outside, Shadowpaws prowled restlessly, drawn by the energy, but held at bay by the field's edge. Elena coordinated from the command node, monitoring the Devourer's approach. It slowed, as if sensing resistance, the first sign the ancient's weapon might work. The entity extended tendrils of darkness, probing the resonance. Each touch weakened the shield. Colonists cried out in pain as psychic feedback surged through the link. Harlan, now fully committed, adjusted neural amplifiers. "Push harder. We're almost in sync." A breakthrough came at dawn, or what should have been dawn. The Harmony core flared brilliant white. The planet's biosphere aligned perfectly. Every leaf, every insect, every root sang in unison. The field expanded, a radiant dome, pushing back the Devourer's advance. The entity recoiled, its crimson veins pulsing angrily. For the first time, it communicated not words, but raw hunger crashing against their minds like a tidal wave. Elena rallied the link. "Remember why we came. Not to conquer, but to belong. This world is home now. Defend it." Memories flooded the collective. Lost loved ones on Earth. First steps on alien soil. A child's laughter under twin moons. Love became the amplifier. The resonance sharpened into a focused beam of pure life force. The Devourer struck with full force. A black wave crashing against the dome. Cracks appeared. Several linked minds faltered, but the planet answered. Mountains rumbled, releasing stored seismic energy in controlled bursts that reinforced the shield. The entity shrieked, with the Devourer banished to the outer dark, its wounded form shrinking beyond sensor range. Nova Terra breathed again. The golden resonance field faded to a soft, protective aura that lingered like morning mist over the valley. For the first time in months, true sunlight bathed New Horizon without shadow. The twin suns climbed higher, warming soil that had grown cold and cracked. Plants unfurled new leaves. Lumara swarms danced in lazy spirals. The planet had not just survived, it had awakened. Elena walked the central path between habitats, now lined with blooming native flowers that released a sweet, honey-like scent. Children ran barefoot, chasing glowing insects, their laughter echoing off the mountains. The Harmony core remained active but quiet, a gentle hum in the crystal chambers. No longer a desperate shield, but a living connection. Volunteers visited daily to maintain the link, sharing simple thoughts, gratitude, plans, dreams. Arya, now taller and more confident, often led the sessions. "The world talks back," she told the younger ones. "You just have to listen." Rebuilding began immediately. Damaged domes were repaired with salvaged metal and reinforced with woven vines that proved stronger than steel. Marcus oversaw the construction of a central plaza, a gathering place under open sky, where people could meet without walls. "No more hiding," he said. "We face everything together." Now, Harlan redirected his genetic expertise towards symbiosis, crossbreeding Earth crops with native flora to create resilient hybrids that thrived in both worlds. Rhythms. Exploration parties ventured farther, mapping rivers that sparkled like liquid silver and forests where trees sang softly in the wind. They discovered more ruined smaller outposts, libraries of crystalline data slates that told the ancient story in full. The previous inhabitants had been much like humans, curious, flawed, ambitious. They had reached for the stars too soon, awakening the Devourer in their greed for energy. Their final act was leaving the Harmony core, as a gift and a warning for whoever came next. One evening, as dual moons rose full and bright, the colony held its first true festival of renewal. Fires burned low, food shared freely. Elena stood before the gathered crowd. "We were refugees once. Now, we are a people. This world didn't just save us, we saved it. And in doing so, we found ourselves." She raised a cup of fermented native fruit. "To Nova Terra, to Harmony, to tomorrow." Cheers rose into the night. Music played simple instruments, carved from local wood, and people danced under the stars. Marcus pulled Elena close. They swayed slowly, no words needed. Arya watched from the edge, smiling, already planning the next expedition to find more of the ancient secrets. As the fire died to embers, a young child asked Elena, "Will the big dark thing come back?" She knelt, meeting innocent eyes. "Maybe someday, but we'll be ready, not with fear, but with everything." Years passed on Nova Terra, each cycle deepening the bond between the people and their adopted world. New Horizon, transformed from a cluster of survival domes into a thriving city of graceful spires woven with living vines, bridges of translucent crystal arching over clear streams. The Harmony Core evolved no longer just a defense. It became the heart of society. Every citizen learned to attune to it, sharing thoughts and emotions in quiet moments, fostering empathy that erased old divisions. Harlan's hybrid crops fed thousands. Marcus's engineering schools trained the young in sustainable design. Arya, now a young woman, led the Star Watchers, a group dedicated to scanning the skies, ensuring no threat ever caught them unaware again. Elena, her hair streaked with silver, spent mornings in the Central Archive, a vast chamber carved from the original ruins. She curated the combined histories, Earth's final days, preserved in digital vaults, the ancients' crystalline records, and Nova Terra's own emerging story. Children gathered around her, wide-eyed, as she told tales, not of conquest, but of choices. "We could have repeated the past," she said softly. "Instead, we chose differently. That choice is our greatest invention." One crisp, a new signal arrived, not ominous, but curious. It came from a neighboring star system, faint and patterned, carrying no threat. The Star Watchers decoded it, a greeting from another survivor group, humans who had fled Earth on a different arc decades earlier. They too had found a world, faced trials, and learned harmony. "We are not alone," Arya announced to the council. Excitement rippled through the city. Plans formed for a message in return, encoded with the Harmony Core's resonance so the recipients might feel, not just hear, the connection. The first interstellar delegation prepared. A small ship, rebuilt from Arc Voyager parts and enhanced with native materials, would carry representatives. The rebuilt starship, christened Harmony's Reach, stood ready on the newly constructed launch plateau overlooking the valley. Its hull gleamed with polished native alloy and living crystal, veins that pulsed in gentle rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. Inside, the crew prepared, Arya as mission commander, 2 engineers, a biologist, and Elena herself insisting on joining despite her age. "I started this journey," she said firmly. "I'll see where it leads." The message to the distant colony had been sent weeks earlier, carrying not just data but a fragment of the Harmony Core's resonance, a feeling of welcome, trust, shared survival. The reply arrived swiftly, coordinates for a rendezvous in neutral space, midway between the two systems. "We come in peace," their transmission read. "We too have learned harmony. Let us meet as kin." Launch day dawned clear, twin suns rising in tandem. The entire city gathered on the plateau and surrounding hillsides. Families waved banners woven from luminescent threads. Children released Lumara swarms that spiraled upward like living fireworks. As engines hummed to life, the Harmony Core sent a final surge of warmth through every mind, a collective embrace from Nova Terra itself. Harmony's Reach lifted smoothly, leaving a trail of soft golden light. Inside the cabin, Arya monitored systems while Elena gazed at the receding planet. "Look how beautiful she is from up here," she whispered. Marcus, staying behind to oversee the city, watched from the command center, a rare smile breaking his usual stoic expression. The journey took 3 months in cryo-sleep, the ship's advanced drives cutting travel time dramatically. Upon awakening, the crew found themselves in a quiet sector of space. Stars unfamiliar, yet peaceful. Scanners soon picked up the other vessel, a sleek, organic-looking craft, with flowing lines reminiscent of their own living architecture. No weapons detected, only open docking ports and a steady beacon of welcome. The two ships aligned gently, airlocks mated with a soft hiss. When the doors slid open, the New Horizon delegation stepped through to meet their counterparts. The other crew emerged, humans, but subtly changed skin with faint bioluminescent patterns, eyes reflecting multiple hues, movements graceful, as if attuned to unseen rhythms. Their leader, a woman named Lyra with silver-streaked hair, extended both hands, palms up. "We are the children of Elisara," she said, voice carrying the same harmonic undertone as their core. "We greet you as family." No formal speeches followed. Instead, they linked through shared neural bands, simple devices. Both groups had developed independently. In that instant, histories merged. Parallel struggles, parallel awakenings, parallel choices to embrace rather than dominate. Tears flowed freely, laughter followed, stories poured out in shared mental images. Lost Earth, new worlds, the moment each defeated their own shadows. Elena and Lyra stood together at the return of Harmony's reach marked a turning point not just for New Horizon, but for the fragile web of human life scattered across the stars. Word of the meeting spread through the Harmony Core's resonance network, a gentle wave of shared emotion that reached every mind on Nova Terra. Pride, wonder, and a quiet hope settled over the city like warm sunlight after long rain. For the first time since leaving Earth, people felt they belonged to something larger than survival. Preparations for deeper connection began at once. Arya led the effort to build permanent relay stations, small orbital platforms, seeded with crystal amplifiers that could extend the harmony resonance across light years. The first was launched toward Elisara's system, carrying data crystals filled with Nova Terra's biosphere records, musical compositions born from the planet's winds, and personal messages from every citizen. In return, Elisara sent botanical samples, plants that glowed softly in darkness and fruits that tasted of memories rather than sugar. When the first hybrid garden bloomed, children pressed petals to their cheeks and laughed at the tingling warmth. Elena, though slower now, remained the quiet center of it all. She spent afternoons in the archive with the youngest generation, teaching them the old languages of caution, while showing them the new ones of trust. "We were broken once," she told them, "but broken things can mend stronger if we let others help hold the pieces." One boy, barely 10, asked if the Devourer would ever return. Elena smiled. "If it does, it won't find us alone. We have friends now across the dark." Years folded into decades. More signals arrived, faint at first, then clearer. A colony on a water world in the Orion Arm nomadic fleet, drifting between nebulae. Each contact followed the same pattern: wary approach, shared resonance, then unbreakable alliance. The Harmony Core grew not in size, but in depth. Its song now a chorus of worlds. No central government formed, no empire rose. Instead, a loose confederation emerged called simply the Concord, bound by mutual understanding rather than treaties. Marcus, gray-haired and still broad-shouldered, oversaw the construction of the first true interstellar bridge, a lattice of relay stations forming a shimmering pathway of light between systems. Ships no longer traveled alone. They carried pieces of home in their hulls: living vines, soil samples, even small harmony-linked crystals, so travelers never felt truly distant. One clear night, as dual moons hung low, the entire city gathered on the central plaza. A new signal had arrived, stronger, closer, from a direction no one had expected. It wasn't human. The resonance carried alien harmonics, deep, slow pulses like the breathing of gas giants, overlaid with curiosity. The Concord's council convened instantly. Elena, supported by Arya on one side and a young engineer on the other, listened to the message translated through the centuries, unfolded like pages in an endless book. The Concord expanded beyond counting: dozens of worlds, hundreds of species, thousands of harmonies woven into one vast, living symphony. Nova Terra remained the quiet heart, its Harmony Core, now a nexus of light, visible from orbit as a gentle aurora that never faded. The city of New Horizon had become a living monument, towers grown from crystal and vine, streets that shifted with seasons, skies painted with the trails of friendly ships coming and going like migrating birds. Elena had long since passed into legend, her resting place a simple stone circle atop the original landing valley, bloomed eternally with flowers that carried her favorite scent. Pilgrims visited, not to mourn, but to listen. The core preserved fragments of her voice, her thoughts, her final smile. Aria, now ancient herself, walked those paths daily, her steps slow but sure. She carried no title, she needed none. To the young, she was simply the first listener. One twilight, as dual moons rose in perfect alignment, a new presence arrived not through signals or ships, but through the resonance itself. It was vast, older than stars, a consciousness born in the spaces between galaxies. It did not speak in words, it flowed like gravity, patient and immense. The core trembled for the first time in generations, not in fear, but recognition. The Concord's collective mind opened wide. Billions of beings across countless systems paused, breathed, listened. The ancient entity shared no history of conquest or destruction. Instead, it offered memory, the birth of the first light, the slow dance of galaxies forming, the quiet moments when life sparked in silence across the void. It had watched civilizations rise and fall, never interfering, only witnessing. Until now. Why now? Aria asked into the shared silence, her voice carrying across light years. The answer came as sensation, warmth, curiosity, kinship. The entity had waited until life learned not to fear the dark, until harmony outweighed hunger, until beings looked outward, not to claim, but to belong. You sang, conveyed, and we heard. We are ready to sing with you. No grand alliance was declared, no treaty signed. The resonance simply deepened. Worlds that had never known each other now shared dreams. Distant oceans reflected the same aurora. Children on a dozen planets woke with memories not their own of flying through nebulae, of swimming in liquid starlight, of resting in the cradle of creation. Aria stood on the valley rim as dawn broke, twin suns igniting the horizon in gold and violet. Below, the city stirred, voices rising in song, not rehearsed, but spontaneous, layered, alive. Ships drifted overhead like leaves on wind. Far above, the ancient presence lingered, a soft shadow among stars, content to simply be near. She placed a hand on the warm stone where Elena rested. You were right, she whispered. The beginning. Time lost meaning in the age of the chorus. What had begun as a single planet's desperate song now spanned galaxies. A living melody that wove through nebulae, danced along black hole horizons, and echoed in the quiet voids between superclusters. The ancient watcher had become one voice among trillions, its vast consciousness blending seamlessly with the smaller, brighter minds of humans, crystalline beings from methane worlds, silicon collectives drifting in stellar winds, and countless others who had once been strangers. On Nova Terra, the original valley had grown into a sacred grove. The first landing site was preserved exactly as it had been. The modular habitats, long since dissolved into soil, replaced by towering trees whose leaves shimmered with stored starlight. At the center stood Elena's stone circle, now encircled by a living ring of crystal that pulsed in time with the universal resonance. No one guarded it, no one needed to. The chorus protected what mattered through shared awareness. Young explorers' descendants, many generations removed from the Ark, Voyager came to train here. They were not soldiers or scientists in the old sense. They were conductors, beings trained to listen, to harmonize, to carry new threads into the endless tapestry. One such conductor, girl named Lyriel, with eyes the color of twin moons, knelt at the circle's edge. She placed her palm on the warm crystal and felt the accumulated memory of every mind that had ever joined. In that touch, she relived fragments. Elena's first step on alien soil, Aria's quiet courage facing the Devourer, the moment two ships met in neutral space, the ancient watcher's patient awakening. But she also felt futures, not predictions, but possibilities. Worlds yet uncontacted, harmonies yet unsung, challenges yet unmet. The chorus did not promise utopia. It promised companionship through whatever came. Far across the spiral arms, a new signal flickered, fragile, hesitant, born from a young civilization just emerging from its own planetary cradle. They had not yet mastered space, but their resonance carried hope, fear, wonder, the same notes that had once risen from Earth's ruins. The chorus paused not to judge, but to welcome. Conductors from a dozen systems volunteered. Lyriel's name rose among them. She boarded a vessel grown from living star stuff, its hull singing softly as it prepared to fold space. As departure neared, the entire Concorde joined in farewell, not with words, but with a single sustained tone of encouragement. On Nova Terra, every leaf, every root, every glowing insect added its voice. The sound traveled faster than light, wrapping the departing ship in warmth. Lyriel looked back through the viewport. The aurora of the Harmony Core shone brighter than any sun. She smiled, feeling no separation, only expansion. The ship slipped into the fold. Somewhere ahead, a new world waited to hear its first true note, and the chorus grew one voice richer. The eons blurred into a single, luminous moment. The chorus no longer had edges. It was the fabric of reality itself, a resonance that cradled every atom, every thought, every fleeting spark of awareness across the infinite expanse. Planets once separate now shared the same slow heartbeat. Stars pulsed in rhythm with distant minds. Even the silent voids between galaxies hummed faintly, as if remembering they too were once potential cradles of life. Lyriel's vessel had long since dissolved, not destroyed, but integrated. She had become a thread in the greater weave, her consciousness distributed like light through prism, yet she retained a core sense of self, a quiet point of focus that returned, time and again, to Nova Terra. The planet had changed beyond recognition. Continents reshaped themselves in gentle accord with collective will. Oceans sang lullabies to newborn moons. The original valley, now a vast crystalline amphitheater open to the cosmos, served as both archive and stage. On what might have been called an anniversary if time still mattered, a convergence occurred. Every mind that had ever joined the chorus, living or transition, focused a single intention toward the amphitheater. The sky above split open, not violently, but like silk parting to reveal the raw lattice of creation. Threads of possibility, strands of what was, what is, what could be. At the center floated a simple, perfect sphere of pure potential, untouched by entropy. The chorus spoke not in unison, but in layered perfection. We have remembered who we are. We have learned to become more than separate echoes. Now, we offer the gift forward. The sphere trembled. From its surface emerged countless new seeds, tiny motes of light, each containing the distilled essence of harmony, empathy without possession, curiosity without conquest, love without condition. They drifted outward, carried on currents older than light itself, seeking virgin worlds, nascent minds, places where life had not yet learned fear. Some seeds would take root quickly, sparking civilizations that began in song rather than silence. Others would wait millennia, patient as stone, until a species reached the moment of choice. A few might never ignite, serving instead as quiet guardians, silent witnesses in forgotten corners. Lyriel watched the departure, with neither sadness nor pride, only quiet fulfillment. She felt Elena's presence beside her, not as ghost, but as living note in the melody. Aria too, Marcus, every name once spoken, now eternal vibration. The amphitheater quieted, the sky closed gently. Below, a single child born of light and flesh in equal measure stepped forward and placed a hand on the central crystal. The touch released one final, soft tone, gratitude. Then silence, not empty, but pregnant. Somewhere, far beyond map space, a young mind on a distant blue-green world looked up at unfamiliar stars and felt, for the first time, an inexplicable sense of home.